numbers of the force to work on building the mastery of the force so that the capabilities of the people that we have are deeper and have that longer time on keyboard. And so that's really where we think we're going to get a lot of outsized impacts rather than just continuing to grow the level of the force that we have today.
Thank you. General, thanks for your testimony today. I wanted to just visit real quick, if you could, in the time I have remaining, talk about timelines, because you were talking about new entities like the Cyber Talent Management Organization, and advanced cyber training and education. Love all these ideas, and even the Innovation Warfare Center. And you say that they're under construction and slated to be operational in the near term. Can you talk more about the specifics on the timeline?
Congressman, I would tell you just to lead with, again, going back to the principles against which we need to operate: speed, scale, innovation, integration. Time's of the essence, so we need to move as fast as we
Amen.
can. And what I think I can provide you, maybe a follow-up for the record, is how we see those timelines being progressed and where we see opportunities to accelerate.
Perfect. Thank you, General. Mr. Chairman, I yield.
One quick follow-up question. Do we ever hire folks who are experts in the cyber field at a private company and bring them in, civilian or military? Just following up on this question.
I believe we have. I can verify that. I'm pretty certain we have. And again, to me, that question speaks to a tremendous opportunity to get after scale and innovation. Again, doesn't have to necessarily be in uniform all the time. There's other options, I think, where we can look creatively, where we can hire experts. We can maybe make them reservists or guardsmen. I think there's tremendous opportunity to be innovative here. And
We have a lot of cyber experts in our private industry in Omaha, and I think bringing them in would be helpful too, just that have that exchange.
Yeah, Chairman, I don't disagree with you at all.
Yeah. Ms. Houlihan, you are recognized for 5 minutes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And General, it's nice to see you. Thanks for joining me in my office. And Secretary, it's also nice to be with you today, too. Time is of the essence, and speed and scale is really important. So I'll try to do my best with my 5 minutes to ask all these questions. As we know, Cybercom 2.0 is supposed to fix a number of problems, but one of them is around Cybercom structure, which is supposed to now be modeled after SOCOM, correct?
The Cyber Command Shadow model was actually built on a blend of models within the department. So it included many elements of the Special Operations Force,
Yes.
but also things like the medical community and others as well.
Excellent, excellent. And so, General Rudd, speaking from your prior position, not this position, would you consider special operations a domain, like the land, air, sea, space, and cyberspace area, or is it just unique operations that are shared with air, sea, and land domains?
Congresswoman, the Special Operations Force is applied across all domains.
So it's not its own domain, it is shared across all domains as they are defined: land, air, sea, space.
The specific forces within SOCOM span land, sea, and air, and interoperate with cyber and space force.
So, Secretary Sutton, would you say that the cyber domain and the need for cyber operations will increase or reduce or hold steady over the next few decades?
I think we've seen a very consistent upward trend that I don't anticipate to slow down anytime
Me
soon.
too, and that's why speed matters, and also, frankly, why I believe that this is its own domain that needs to be addressed in its own way, with its own force, to be honest. I'll move on and say that I believe that some of the issues that are confronting Cybercom are not just a Cybercom issue. They are coming from how our services, our individual services, are prioritizing cyber forces among their other requirements and responsibilities. So as an example, I would find it hard to believe that the Air Force would legitimately support a cyber wing over a fighter wing, as an example, or the Navy support a cyber group over a ship, or the Armory potentially supporting a cyber unit over an artillery battery, as an example. I know, General Rudd, in your new job that you obviously are very interested in valuing cyber very highly, but it's because you're culturally incentivized to do that. But I believe that the Army is not necessarily incentivized to care about things like that, but rather infantry, artillery, tanks. And if you're a young cyber officer in the Army, I don't believe that you are thinking about your career in that way, but rather you're thinking about your career in Army operations terms that are more traditionally written. Would you assess that that might be true as well, General?
Well, Congresswoman, what I would expect that in this role, I'll have the opportunity to work with all the services to express the importance of talent management of the cyber force and advocate for advancement across all services.
And I know that Mr. Bacon asked you, Secretary Sutton, a lot of good questions about incentivizing people and pay scales and recruiting and a lot of really innovative ideas of how to do that. I would, I guess, argue, and my position is that we, just as much as we needed to separate the Air Force out in 1947, and just as much as we needed to separate out the Space Force in 2017, that there may indeed be a need to separate out the cyber force sooner rather than later. Assistant Secretary Sutton and General Rudd, do you think that Congress has made the right decision to establish an Air Force, even though the Army and the Navy opposed that?
I second the motion, by the way.
So I appreciate all the questions about the cyber force. I actually think this is a really important debate that as policymakers, we look forward to continuing. This is a very rapidly evolving domain, and making sure that we're organized appropriately is something that we really need to address going forward.
I agree. This, and we'll conclude by saying this domain is clearly growing, not shrinking. And at some point, the cyber forces that we have, generated by services that deliberately don't prioritize cyber for practical and cultural reasons, won't be enough to meet our future cyber demands. And any significant change to our military structure up and until we actually have a brand new service, I believe will be difficult. So all I'm asking you both and us here is that we have an open mind to the idea of a cyber force. While I very much welcome Cyber 2.0 and its recommendations, I genuinely worry that it's just not enough. So all I'm asking is, Secretary and General, will you commit to keeping an open mind on this issue?
So yes, I also appreciate the opportunity that you highlighted to articulate that Cyber Command 2.0 and a cyber force aren't a competing interest. We need to focus on the talent management of our force, and then we need to look at the organizational structure. I appreciate Congress's interest in this. My office and the department have been supporting the National Academy study that I think was formed to do an independent look. I've testified twice in front of that committee and look forward to their report this summer.
Thank you, Secretary. I've run out of time. I also support a cyber academy as well. In general, just yes or no, do you keep an open mind on having an independent cyber force?
Congresswoman, again, I align with the department and Honorable Sutton on this topic, and again, appreciate the fact that they're not in competition. It's not a either or. It's a
Thank you.
And
Thank you. I yield, and I appreciate the indulgence of the chair.
Mr. McCormick, you're recognized for 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.